So welcome back if you've been following along. There's not many subscribers, but I'm really just kind of like diarizing this for myself anyway. But if you are here and returning, just making another update video. So I've done a little bit more work on the game, but I've also been doing some personal stuff as well, which has kind of distracted me a little bit from working on it, which isn't maybe the best thing ever, but I'm just going to be honest. So I wanted to go over a couple of the updates that I have made to the game. So first things first, I updated some like basic scene transitions. So now when you like load into the game, it fades into the menu nicely, and when you select start the game, it fades out nicely, that type of stuff. So just some basic like transition stuff, and then I also updated the player sprites, so the character. I didn't really like the basic spaceship that I originally had, and then I made another one and I really didn't like it, so I made a third or fourth kind of version of it. So I'll try and show some of that on screen, maybe some of the gameplay as well, so you can see the new sprite. I updated and I fixed the UI so that the bloom, because I want to have this like cyberpunk aesthetic, like this like neon kind of look to the game. I wanted the bloom that is there to apply to the UI elements as well, which it wasn't doing previously, but I figured out what was wrong with that. I was able to update the UI so that the bloom has an effect on the UI elements. I also cleaned up the UI a little bit. I want to keep it really simple. Like I'm trying to make basically an arcade game, right? So if I'm doing that, I want it to like look like an old arcade style points. So like the points, at the very top, the power up at the top, no fancy graphical HUD or anything like that. Just keep it simple. And then I also fixed some other issue there with the turrets. So I added turret spawns around the arena, and I noticed that there were times where the turret would spawn on top of the player. And when that would happen, it would like one shot you, would kill you instantly, which is not ideal. So I was able to modify that script a little bit so that the turrets will only spawn if you're a certain distance away. And then I also added like a cool shader effect to the intro or to the logo at the start of the game. So then it fades in, and then I might build off of that shader and create some like cool like on death effects for the enemies and maybe even the player, so that when you kill an enemy, they kind of like evaporate instead of just disappearing in the explosion. So I think that might be kind of cool. Okay, so before I get into like some of the other personal stuff that I've been working on, not related to the game, I figured I'd show this. So I have my kind of like Kanban board here that I use to keep track of all the things I'm working on for the game. So the first thing is the score system. I do have a score system set up right now. It's working fine. But what I kind of was thinking of doing is adding some sort of like scalability to the score system, so that like the higher your score goes, maybe the more frequently enemies will start spawning, so that it's not just like this flat difficulty curve. It will kind of like ramp up the higher your score gets. I'm still kind of playing with that idea. I don't know for sure how I want to do it, but that's kind of what I'm thinking. So it gets harder and harder and harder. And then I want to add local leaderboards for sure. So like an old arcade style, right, where it pops up and you have like, you can enter like maybe 3 initials or something like that to record your score. So I want to do that for sure. I might do like an online leaderboard as well, because I have that in my other game and it was pretty easy to add. So I might add that too. And then complete the UI and scene transitions. I kind of did this already. There may be a few things that I want to add, so I'm not going to move this over into completed yet, but that's on the to-do list. And then more music, of course. So I have the menu music, but I need to do like gameplay music. And then obviously I don't want to just have like one song for the arena, because that would be super annoying if you were playing for like a really long time. So I'll probably write like 3 or 4 songs that I'll kind of like, it'll cycle through. That's what I'm thinking anyway. And then I need a game over music, and then I also need basic sound effects for just shooting and blowing shit up. So that's kind of the to-do list for that's the to-do list for the game. And then in terms of like personal stuff that I've been working on, so I know I talked about in the last videos, I talked about distro hopping in Linux distros and like switching distros and trying to decide on what. And I think I had settled on maybe Mint at the time because it was just easy. But I did switch more. Again, I tried out a few things. I tried Fedora, I tried Arch, I tried a few things, and I ultimately settled on Arch. And then this laptop here, I went to restore it with Windows. It's like an Asus laptop. I went to restore Windows on it, and there was just so much bloatware, and I got so frustrated that I just literally turned it off during the installation and then installed Arch Linux on here. So now all my computers, I have like 3 laptops and everything, that's all running Arch Linux now. So the house is fully converted to Arch, except for obviously like my work computer, because I can't change that. That's always going to be Windows. So that's done. So I swapped over all my computers. Another thing is, I don't know if you can see, maybe if I turn this way, it's kind of blurred out because I'm testing this blurred background. I bought a mini PC and a RAID bay. So I set up a home server pretty much. So I put Ubuntu server on the mini PC. I set up a Nextcloud, which is like for file storage and stuff like that. And I set the RAID bay to RAID 1. So now I have like a backup for all my data. So that was pretty cool, but that's something I was working on as well. And I backed up all the photos off my phone. There was like 10 years worth of photos that I had to go through and delete, like all the memes and screenshots and crap that I saved, and keep the real good pictures of like my family and my wife and my son and stuff like that. So that took forever, but that's done finally now. So everything's synced up and it's good to go there. So it's not game related, but I've been spending a bit of time doing that. And then also I started learning some C++. I did find a really good website. Just go show it here. It's called learncpp.com. It's awesome. It's one of the best. Oh my God, I'm like lit up here. Looks like I'm looking at like the Indiana Jones Raiders of the Lost Ark. It's one of the best tutorials or like lessons I've ever done. Like the explanations are so clear. All the examples are really clear. It's been really, really awesome. So if you are interested in learning C++, I highly recommend learncpp.com. I'll put a link to it in the description. It's awesome. I can't say enough about it. So I figured I'll learn some C++ because it's good to know. And then it's also closely related to C#. So it's not like, it will still help me in my C# learning. So there's no reason to not learn it. So that's what I've been doing kind of the past 2 weeks or so. So I've gotten some work done on the game, and I've done some personal stuff. So now this is all set up. I've got my distribution. I've been on Arch now for probably 2 weeks. It's been awesome. I love it so far. So I'm going to stay on here, and I'm going to keep working on the game and getting back into it now. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And if you're still watching, I will catch you in the next one.